Yeah, man. And talking about the cross-dresser stuff and Dennis Rader dressing himself as a woman. Did you watch Mindhunter?
Oh yeah.
That scene when his wife is walking slowly toward the room, and he's dressed as a woman, and he's asphyxiating himself. That's a master scene, man. The cinematography of that recreation, let's say, is awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's
So
great.
but that's the reason, because she caught him, right? Is why he started to go and do the hotel parties. And he would go for 3 or 4 days saying he was going away on a work trip or something, or had to go to a meeting, or go out on a Boy Scout trip or whatever. And he would go and have a hotel party where he would go and, tie himself up and do all the self bondage, and, he'd get himself off that way, which is really fascinating psychologically, because this is also during the time where he was not killing, right? And you have to wonder, and maybe I'll ask him at some point, but I feel like he was still out there looking, right? He was still trying to find victims and stalking people. But it seems that this during this time in his life, he was using that to stop himself from going out there and killing. Now, why? What was the motivation for that? Was it that, a lot of times they say it was because he had young kids at the time, right? And so he was trying to raise his family. So he was trying to back off of going and murdering people because he had a family now and he was trying to raise his kids. So, I don't know. I don't know what the truth is in that, or at least what the truth is for him. But I'd be interested to understand that, because it's clear to me that he was doing it to try to like stop himself, even though he was reliving all of those fantasies. Clearly, right? He was reliving all of that. But was that his way of pushing it out so that he didn't have to do those things? Which brings me to a whole nother point. I have always wondered, and I would be interested to see how this would go. And I've talked about this a couple times on some of the shows that I've done. But I've always felt like this whole idea of these sex dolls, right? These very, very realistic sex dolls that we have now. What if you gave those to people that had like real, like deviant sexual issues, right? Would that, at least for some time, as long as they also had some intensive therapy going at the same time, would that curb some of the behaviors where they might try to kidnap or rape someone else? Could they be able to curb those behaviors with those dolls? I don't know. I think that maybe that only has a limited amount of time, because eventually some of those people, like Rader specifically, like they get off on that fear, and they get off on that, that feeling of being in control. And you don't have that with these dolls, right? But with somebody like with Jeffrey Dahmer, he did have a doll. He did have a mannequin, and he was perfectly fine with that mannequin, right? Until grandma got rid of it. So it's fascinating for me to understand another person like that, Dennis Nielsen, in the UK, very, very much like Dahmer, but wanted to have sex with dead bodies, would often masturbate covered in powder, looking in a mirror, imagining himself as a corpse. So, like, when you have that kind of psychology, would a sex doll be a better option for you? I don't know.
Yeah, man. Man, this conversation is fascinating, man. We have to do like at least one show every month, man. And yeah, it's people are tripping in the chat.